Hi, this is Dan from Tech Digest at Shiny Shiny, and I'm here today with my esteemed colleague, Duncan. I think this is the first time we've been on the sofas together, isn't it?
Together, I think so.
I think this is a momentous occasion. This is fantastic.
I'm very excited to be here. So
well, I can see you dressed up for the occasion.
Yeah.
What's this fantastic accessory you have on your arm?
I'm glad you asked. This is the Creative Zen X-Fi. It's an MP3 player and remarkably difficult to actually get out of the armband that it comes with.
That's nice, that's nice.
Let me pull it out here. This is a new MP3 player from Creative. It comes in 16 and 32-bit capacities. It also comes in an 8GB capacity, but the most important thing here is that it has Wi-Fi.
Right, okay.
The 16 and 32GB models have Wi-Fi, but the 8GB doesn't. So I'm just going to talk about the Wi-Fi edition. This is a 16GB model. They all look identical though, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Obviously, because this is an X-Fi model, the Creative X-Fi MP3 players come with sound enhancement. They come with...
as in like upscaling or something?
It's a bit like that. It sort of fills in the gaps in your music and attempts to make it sound better. But in my experience, I think it just seems to make it sound different.
Okay.
Not necessarily better, but just
different.
A little bit different.
By what tracks were you listening to that were sort of different?
I listened to a reasonably broad range, some sort of old 60s-y stuff, a little bit of rock, some electro music, and you can sort of hear a difference when you flick it on and off.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't know if, when I was just sort of listening to music, whether I'd know, without knowing beforehand, whether it was on or off, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you, okay. Otherwise, what about the Wi-Fi aspect of it? You've been using that?
Well, the Wi-Fi aspect is a little bit strange, really. It doesn't... The only sort of real music feature that it has with it is you can stream your MP3 library from your computer in your home network onto the player.
Right.
And
so is that for lazy people?
I guess so. People who can't be bothered to actually get up and walk all over the way to their computer and to turn it on properly.
Okay.
Other than that, I can't really see any necessary benefit of doing that unless you're out in the back garden doing the mowing or something like that and you want to listen to your MP3s.
Is there any like person-to-person stuff you can do with the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's got a sort of chat system on it, an instant messenger client, but the interface on it, those buttons there are what you use to interact with the chat. There's just 9 buttons, and that's pretty much it.
There's no marking on them of any kind?
There's no marking on them at all. It's sort of up, down and left, right, but it doesn't work very well. It takes an age to type in messages, and you can't communicate with anyone outside of Creative's own instant messaging network. It doesn't tie in with MSN
so you've got
or Gtalk or anything like that.
Loads of people on that network at any one time,
Exactly.
Absolutely inundated.
So there's that, and it has a bunch of other sort of slightly strange features as well. It's got an organiser, you can sync your contacts onto here, and a calendar, which are alright, but at the same time I've got a calendar that I carry around with me all the time, and all those things are on my mobile phone as well, and on my computer, so I don't really see very much benefit of putting those things onto my MP3 player as well.
Okay. And what about in terms of just general usability? Is it a nice thing to carry around at all?
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's small. It's reasonably well formed. It's got an SD card slot, but in my experience with it, it treats the SD card as a completely separate memory device, which is a bit weird. It doesn't integrate it with the internal memory. It puts it into a sort of separate mode.
And it won't take it across?
No.
That's a bit annoying.
And you can't do some of the things that you can do with the internal memory using the stuff that's on the SD card.
Right, okay.
So it's a bit strange, the SD card functionality. It's also got a built-in speaker right there, a little slit on the bottom.
Right.
It's great. I don't mind the idea of having a built-in speaker, but Creative, please, can you make it so that when I unplug my headphones, it doesn't automatically start playing out of the speaker? I look like a fool on the bus.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I had the same problem actually with them. Oh, well, I was going to say, actually, before I get into that, what's the battery life like on that? Is that all right?
The battery life is reasonable. Yeah, I've had to charge it a few times, but then I've had it for quite a while. I haven't been using it very heavily. I haven't noticed any major problems with battery life, but obviously, of course, when you've got the Wi-Fi turned on, that's going to drain it an awful lot faster than otherwise it would have.
Yeah, I can see that. Because it's funny you should talk about on the bus thing, because I've been looking at the baby version here, looking at the Creative Zen Mosiac.
Beautiful.
Well, do you know what? I was a bit slightly insulted when I first got this. I don't know if you can see this. It's pink, and I thought maybe they'd give me a nice butch black one or something like that, because it comes in black and grey as well. But I got the pink one, and aside it looking a little bit like Battenberg cake and a toy, It's actually been working out alright, and actually the toy thing's been quite good because I haven't felt bad about getting it out on the tube or the bus, and I don't feel like anyone's going to mug me, you know, for my iPod or anything like that.
I'd mug you for that.
Well, that's because you know what it is. You probably mug me anyway. You probably mug your grandmother. But yeah, it's actually been pretty good. So, you know, like I say, to begin with I was a bit insulted, but I think it's actually not bad. This particular one, it's 2 GB storage. You get them in 2, 4, 8 and 16. But I think generally where they're really attacking is the gap in between iPod Shuffles and Nanos.
So it's a sort of hybrid device almost. It's
Yeah,
got a screen, but
exactly.
only
1.8 inch TFT. It's a bit pathetic. I mean, I don't think I can show you this, but like they give you this little AVI program, you know, little file, so you can look at it, and it's actually incredibly bad because they put some writing on that you can't read.
That's awful.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you can see that. I'll have to get in on that, but it's like the world's worst screen, which is a shame. But you know, hey, just don't think of it as a thing with a screen. Music-wise, it's actually pretty good. I'm quite happy with all the controls. The UI is pretty good.
Does it come with any of the sort of sound adjustment features that the ZenX-Fi does?
Well, it's certainly got. I didn't actually investigate that, but it has got graphic equalizers.
Okay.
Customizable as well, so it's not just like rock, pop, and all that. You can
That's
actually.
quite rare on an MP3 player.
Exactly. I was quite pleased with that because you can make your things that are really tinny a bit less tinny. You can get MP3s that aren't so good, much better, which is I was actually quite pleased with. What's more, the battery life has been seemingly endless for me.
Wow, okay.
Which is great. I guess I haven't been using the screen too much, it's pretty good. I don't know how you feel about just being able to charge it up by USB, but I find it a little bit annoying.
Annoying? How?
Well, because what if I'm out in somewhere and I've got no computer with me?
Does it not come with an adapter that will turn the USB thing into a normal power?
Mine didn't, no. Mine just came just with USB.
Well, that's worth remembering as well then.
Yeah, which was a little bit frustrating. The lock thing was quite good. Obviously, it's nice to get them normally, and it's a good way of shutting them down as well, rather than having to pause and stuff like you do with iPods, which kind of annoys me.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like is, like for example, in the Philips Go Gear stuff, you can still change the volume, even when it's in off mode, which is the one thing you want to do, and this doesn't do it. But maybe that's just Philips being good. I don't know. Anyway, it's also got, obviously, if you want to hide the fact you've got a pink one, it's got these little wetsuits that you can get them into, which aren't too bad, except...
Do all the buttons still work, alright?
Yeah, they do, except this one, except the on-off, which is a little bit like you're trying to get your nail in there, which is a bit annoying. But other than that, I've actually been pretty pleased with this. I would have one of these, which I don't often say sitting on the sofa.
Pink MP3 player.
Yeah, maybe just to show, you know, that I'm tough and I don't need that, I'd probably have a pink one. The screen does get a bit scratched up in your pocket, and this doesn't actually do anything to protect that, which is a bit frustrating.
Nor does this, especially.
Right, which is kind of annoying. But I think, you know, 2 gigabytes, $49.99. I think that's actually pretty good, and I feel quite safe with that. And I feel like I'm going to have this for a while, and I think it's going to work. So I think that's a pretty good thing. What about yours?
Well, that's a third of the price of the 16 gigabyte model of this. This comes at £150 for the 16 gig model, and for the 32 gig model, it's more like £240, which is a lot. And I'm not really convinced it's worth that kind of money. It's an okay device. It's a decent player, but there are just so many better options out there that use the Wi-Fi in a much better way.
Yeah. So possibly not for that one. Possibly yes for this one. I think that's what we're thinking, creative zen wise.
Yep.